New this morning, AI startup Mercor announcing that it has raised $100 million in a Series B funding. The company now valued at $2 billion. It's up from just $250 million 4 months ago. Quite the jump. Joining us right now, first on CNBC, is Mercor's co-founder and CEO, Brendan Foody. Good morning to you. Congratulations on the new valuation and the new funding round. For those that don't understand sort of how you're using AI in the context of employment, help the audience understand what's happening here.
Yeah, of course. And first of all, thanks so much for having us back on, Andrew. Excited to discuss the new funding and update on the business. But at a high level, Mercor is training models that predict how well someone will perform on a job better than a human can. So similar to how a human would review a resume, conduct an interview, and decide who to hire, we automate all of those processes with LLMs. And it's so effective, it's used by all of the top AI labs to hire thousands of people that train the next generation of large language models.
And just to be clear, is it better for identifying specific types of jobs, specific kinds of roles, meaning for an engineer or for some kind of other role? Can it capture, how well an employee will do in a creative environment, for example, or at a senior management role? Would you use this technology?
Yeah, phenomenal question. It's really across the board, but what we excel at is analyzing things that are based in text. So for example, analyzing an interview transcript is much easier for us than analyzing what is someone's persuasiveness in a sales demo or a sales conversation. But that is broadly applicable to software engineers, doctors, lawyers, accountants, financial analysts, and really a huge portion of the knowledge work economy, all of which are domains that we're already actively hiring many hundreds of people in.
So how does it work in practice? Meaning you just talked about, for example, analyzing a transcript from a job interview. Are you also giving me, if I was interviewing a prospective employee, are you giving me a script that I'm following?
So we would ask dynamic questions of people based on their background, where similar to how a human would have context on your resume, we would ask questions about that, and they would respond, and we would ask follow-ups based on their responses, et cetera. One thing I will clarify based on the customers added on screen is that we can't confirm customer names, but we do work with all of the top AI labs and most of the largest technology companies in the world.
And your models based on open source other models, meaning are you sort of taking some piece of Llama, for example, or even DeepSeek now, and integrating that into your own model? How is it totally custom from the ground up? How did you do this?
Yeah, phenomenal question. So we post-train other models. It doesn't make sense for us to do things custom from the ground up, but most importantly, what we look at is the performance data of how people do on projects, where we're able to see who's doing well, who's not doing well, and understand all of the reasons behind that so that the model makes better predictions around who's going to perform well and for what reasons. In terms of which base model we use, it depends on the specific use case, but have had a lot of success customizing the OpenAI APIs as well as many others.
In terms of this new funding round, what are you going to be using this cash for? What happens next?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because the business has remained quite profitable. So we've grown an average of 51% month over month in revenue for the last 6 months, and are still profitable with a revenue run rate over $75 million. But the main motivation of raising the capital is to invest in two things. The first is the supply side of our marketplace in getting all of the smartest people in the world on the platform and continuing to support our customers that way. And then the second is our AI vetting technology and making better performance predictions so that we can have higher confidence in every individual that we're matching with our customers on projects.
Brendan, let me ask you a question that I imagine the venture capitalists who put money into this thing, or maybe those who don't, would ask, which is, what is the defensive moat around a business like this? I think to myself, LinkedIn should be doing this, which of course is owned by Microsoft and given their access to OpenAI and everything. How do you think about the competition in this space long term?
Yeah, so I think the two moats are tied to the two things that we're investing in. The first, in terms of supply side growth, getting all of the smartest people in the world on the platform, is reflective of the supply side marketplace moat. So, similar to how you would see a marketplace moat in an Uber or an Airbnb, those are some of the strongest, most enduring network effects in the world that we're continuing to build out incredibly quickly. But the second moat, and the one that I'm arguably even more excited about, is the data flywheel, where we learn from every customer interaction about who's doing well for what reasons, about the features that indicate that, whether it's because someone has a certain experience on their resume or they, demonstrate extreme passion for that topic area in their interview, or even specific knowledge. And we're able to learn from all of those things to make better predictions for every future person we onboard, not just for that customer, but for all of our customers more generally.
I got one final crazy question for you.
Of course.
I know this apparently works for employers. Could you ever imagine higher education using this?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that how we decide.
Do you think that kids, all of these, I'm just thinking of all of these admission programs all over the country at colleges, and whether this would change the whole thing. And then I don't know if I want that or not, because what about the kid who doesn't do well on the test, but does, brilliantly on something else?
Yeah, but I think the key thing is that the baseline is so bad, right? Like right now we have so much of this vibes-based assessment. We have a lack of data in driving the outcomes that we care about, that it just makes sense to, look at the things that drive the outcomes that we care about, whether it be, people having a well-rounded education environment or the outcomes of those students once they enter the workforce or whatever it is. And I think it's almost certain that in the imminent future, all of this will converge towards a completely automated process, not only because it's dramatically cheaper, but more importantly, because it's just far, far more effective than any process that a human could do.